All right, today I thought we would talk about torque plate honing a little bit. I got this 4G63 I just finished honing, so I wanted to show you guys what the cylinder wall looks like before I pull the torque plate off and then after. The block is cooling off now. It's about 82 degrees, gonna get it back to like the mid to high 70s before we do final measurements on it. And then we'll pull the torque plate off and I will show you guys the change with and without the torque plate and explain to you why that's important and why it's also important to do the torque plate with the head gasket. So check it out. Alright, check the temp one more time. She's still 82 in there. Yeah, it's 79 or so in there. We're just going to measure it and call it alright. So, this is going to be hard for you guys to see the gauge, so I'm probably going to like draw a sketch up to post in the video to show you what's going on. But so it's a 1/10 of a thou small there. Alright, 0 there on number 1. Well, actually, that's number 4. Sorry. So that one is a 1/10 big, then 2/10 big. Now I'm going, this is the very top of the cylinder, so that's a 1/10 small, and then the very bottom is right at 0. The end one here as well. This one's big. One of those pistons is a bit odd size, so this one's 3/10 big here and 2/10 big at the bottom. So that's tenths of a thou. So they're very straight. To be within 2/10 is pretty hard to achieve typically. So I'm gonna pull this torque plate off of here and we'll remeasure this stuff. Again, I'll show you a picture of how the cylinders change, but we'll go through it by hand that way too. So I'm gonna go grab my torque wrench and get that done. So I untorque stuff in the same pattern that I torque it. So I work from the center out when I torque it. When I untorque it, I'm gonna work from the center out as well. That's just habit, not sure it makes a difference, but you know, for whatever that's worth. So when I do these, this one specifically is a 7-volt 4G. I have this torqued to 90 pounds. This customer is going to use an MLS gasket. It has I believe it's got a Comparative MLS gasket on it. We'll try to use whatever, you know, either an MLS, an aftermarket MLS like this has got a Comparative, or the Felpro, or an HKS, or the OE ones on the Evos, depending on what the customer is using. Just try to best simulate the basically the deformation of the top of the cylinder wall. That's all we're trying to do here by having the torque plate, is to try to simulate the cylinder wall's loading without with the engine on it, or with the engine on it, listen to me, with the cylinder head torque to it, with the gasket on it and everything, to make sure that the cylinder is as straight as we can possibly have it when the engine is assembled. Obviously there's a lot of stuff out of our control there, as far as like when it's running. There's going to be a lot of obviously deformation from cylinder wall stuff, temperature, or just cylinder pressure, sorry, not cylinder wall stuff, cylinder pressure stuff, temperature and that kind of thing. All that stuff has a big effect on ring seal, obviously. Stuff like connecting rod side clearance, or if you got a squirter cutting the connecting rod, anything that's going to put more oil on the cylinder wall, depending on what your ring pack's like. These are this is a Weisco ring, which is it's a barrel face gas nitrided ring. It's got like a chrome appearance to it, but these want a pretty coarse cylinder wall finish. They want the cylinder wall to hold a lot of oil, and the ring uses the cylinder wall to, or uses the oil on the cylinder wall to seal. These are all loose now, so get these studs pulled out of here. I tend to just leave the studs in the in the torque plate. Again, this is a 7-bolt, so it's an 11mm stud. Familiar with the 4G stuff at all? There's the 1G and the 2G. The 1Gs are all 12mm, the 2Gs are 11. And then sometimes we'll do, on the 11mm stuff, we'll do like a 1/2-inch stud conversion. We haven't done that in a while since the L19s came out. This is an 8740 bolt here. Okay, well, that's loose. We'll stake this thing off, set it aside. Oh, maybe. Grab the gasket here too. You see, this has had just your normal Comparative, which is a three-layer gasket here. So, yeah, we'll talk about head gasket stuff in a second and why which head gasket you're using makes a big difference. All right, so let's see how much this thing's moved here. Check that. That went from, I believe this one was a thou small. It's now 8/10 small at the top. It'll be the same in the middle here, right? So it's a thou, or 1/10 of a thou over everywhere else. But yeah, look at that. Yeah, it's 8/10 smaller at the top. This thing will be the same at the bottom, and now it is 7/10 at the top. I don't really need to measure the whole thing, obviously, but just to show you guys, this one also 7/10 at the top, and this one is 3/10 at the top. Remember, this one was the biggest one of all the cylinders, so it moves it 6/10 of a thou for the first. Let's see here. So there we're. The very top, as high as I can go, is about 5. You go down a touch more, and it's 7. Touch more. So now we're, say, 1 inch in the hole, and it's still 6/10 small there. That's about 3 inches in the hole, and it's back to where it was. So it moves the top. Or I'm sorry, that was not 3 inches in the hole. It's maybe 2 inches in the hole. So it deforms the top at least 1.5 inches of it by doing the torque plate with the head gasket. That's why that's so important. So if you've got somebody doing a block with a torque plate or without a torque plate, then you know it's really jacked up. If you're doing it with the torque plate and no head gasket, it's going to be almost just as bad, I would assume. I haven't done that test. I'm just not going to, because I'm just going to use a head gasket. So looking at the head gasket stuff a bit, these all have, you can see where it's been compressed the most or where it sees the most load, right? That's because of how these are built. They put more pressure in the cylinder ring around the cylinder just to hold the combustion in, right? So head gasket manufacturers have different ways of doing that. So again, we try to use whichever head gaskets you're going to use in the vehicle. We try to use that on the torque plate if we can. I have moved between head gasket manufacturers, and I haven't seen too much of a difference, too much of a change at the top in those. A 1/10 or 2, you know, not 5 and 7 like we see with or without a gasket and a torque plate all together. So that's it for this one. I thought you guys would like checking that out. So yeah, I'm gonna take this block out of here, clean it up. This thing's actually done, so I'll call a customer, have them come get it. Subscribe to our channel and check out future videos. If there's something you guys want to see, please comment and I'll put something together if I'm able to. So thanks for watching.